Good evening and welcome to the Simply Colorful FiberCast. Today's date is January 18th, I think, 2015. My name is Lynn and I'm your host. So welcome. I'm so glad you could join me. It's been a wonderful week, another week back to work, and I hope you've had a good week. And I wanted to bring you up to speed on the doll we made last week and then jump right into making quilt labels. I'm just going to plow through it. I have a lot of quilts that I've made in the last year that don't have a label. So grab a project. This is all about what we can get done together in our own sewing rooms with each other. So send me email if you have questions, lmarquidant@gmail.com. And again, hi. Here is the doll that I've reincarnated from last week. So this was a topsy-turvy doll. And last week, as if anyone who saw the episode knows, we tried to make her a purple dress. And it didn't go so well. We didn't have quite the right instructions. So I redid it, and I like this dress, and then had fun. And again, because she's a topsy-turvy doll, she has two facades. And she's not a big doll, as you can see. And there she is in all purple. So that's the doll. It's on its way to San Diego to KK and Carrie, and it should be there in a few days. So that's the doll. Now, let us jump into quilt labels. They can be anything from literally a piece of muslin, fold it in half. At the very least, we all have to do this. Fold it in half, sew it in the corner of your quilt, and write the title, the date, your name, who made it. If someone else machine quilted it, put that in there. Location, more information, the better. So that's the most rudimentary ones. And I do have some of my quilts I've done like that. Every time I discovered when I looked through my quilts, every time I would go to a show, every 2 years we have a quilt show uptown, I didn't have labels. So I would do this whole trick. So what I've done, and I don't want to do that anymore. We put so much time into these quilts. I want to go up at least one notch. Oh, and there are little fluffs of fiber floating around. So at the very least, though, I have a bunch of these muslins, and I can always use those as a label. What I thought I'd do is so what I did earlier was I pulled out some fusible paper, actually, the iron-on quick fuse. Any good fusible paper that can run through your inkjet printer is good. I only have a black and white printer. I don't even have a color printer. I could definitely write this, and I do have pens that I'm going to write some things, but I wanted to make it as easy as possible for those times when I don't feel like making a label. At least I have a bunch of these printed out. I don't know if you can see that. So it has title, pieced by, quilted by, date, and I probably will write in location and any other comments. So at the very least, what I wanted to do was cut out a couple of these and literally iron them onto the muslin so that they're ready for just a few words when I'm ready. And just before we came on, I dropped my iron again on the floor. So I am trying to get any of the black residue from the carpet off of the iron. So if you wondered why I was a minute or two late, that's why. So I'm literally cutting the paper that I printed on that has the nice iron-on fusing on the back. And this one I'm not even going to fill out. I'm just going to put it on here. I'm even going to cut it more. Although I hate to do that because I'm going to want to write on it. And I'm just going to fuse it on. And probably if I had my silicone sheet, I usually put that over it just to protect the label from my iron, but I didn't do it this time. And if you're familiar with Wonder Under or any of these fusibles, I mean, you learn how much to press down. So here's an example of when you drop your iron on the floor and it picks up black residue from the floor and you go to iron it, it transfers the black residue to your label. But you know what? I'm okay with that. Worst case, I pull that out and use it. So at least that's in my drawer ready. So now let's do one that is more personalized. And why don't we just start from the top? So this one, you may or may not recognize it. It's from last year. It's the Simply Colorful Mystery Quilt, Daffodils and Crocus. So I printed out Daffodil and Crocus, pieced by me. I did machine quilt it using my Bernina. And I put the date, which was March 2014, in, and I'm in Hopkinton. I'm not sure I've ever told you all where I am. That's where I am. Oh! And then what I'm going to do, I'm hearing you say hello, which is great. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, I thought for the back of this, I don't know if you can see that. It's an all over purples, yellows. That was our inspiration fabric, or my inspiration fabric. So I thought that if I just did that, that would be good. Let me see who's out there. It's January 16th, by the way. It's not the 18th. You all knew that, though. I wonder if someone is texting to me. Oh, Maureen, hi. Welcome. She says she's very interested in what people put on their labels. I agree with you. Isn't it fascinating? In fact, we're going to pull up, if you just go into Google and type in quilt labels, you can, and hit images, you can just see a whole smattering of what people have written. I'm pretty nuts and bolts and not very fancy, at least at this point in my evolution. Linda says, hi, first time watching you live from Salem, Ohio. Hi, welcome. So glad you could join us. And Chris out there puttering in my studio while watching FiberCast. Wonderful. And she says, have a great weekend and go Patriots. Yes, go Pats. I almost wore my Patriots sweatshirt, but I thought, and this is probably going to jinx it, but I figured I didn't want to wear it this week because next week, they're going to win this week, and then we'll be in the Super Bowl, and then I'll wear my sweatshirt. So welcome everyone out there. Let's try to get this iron clean. Yeah, that'll be good. And what I'm going to do is literally, yeah, I am. I'm going to iron over 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to top stitch it. And then in front of the TV, I'll probably, once we make these 4 labels, so I want to get 4 labels done in the next hour. That's my goal. And then I'll top stitch them onto the back of the quilt when I'm sitting in front of the TV watching the Patriots win. Okay, so I've turned under the 4 inches. And I don't know about you guys, but needless to say, making labels is not, for me, the most fun part of the process. Okay. Which again is why if I figure if I have several in my drawer, I'll be good to go. So I've got my soda in case I get thirsty. Got my Oh, isn't it fun on a Friday night to tool around in your studio? Even if you don't have any formal project. In fact, it's almost better on a Friday night. Oh, just blew that out. Don't know why. We're all so scheduled in our lives these days that it's nice to just make time to be unscheduled. In fact, as I was walking today, I want to make a nice, clean top stitch. So I'm taking my time, which, as you know, is not what I usually do. Anyway, I was taking a walk today during my lunch break, taking my Fitbit for a walk, but we'll talk about Fitbit in a minute. Anyway, I was listening to a podcast, and one of the disc jockey's fathers had been watching a show on PBS. This is kind of a long story, but I thought it was kind of an interesting aha, or I thought to myself, yeah, that's probably right. Basically, one of the disc jockeys, his father was watching a PBS special, and it struck him such that he wanted to send his son, who's out in Hollywood now, a note about what he was watching. And please, he says something like, please, son, I've never asked you anything of you before, and this isn't like me to meddle, but just please promise me you won't do X, whatever X was. It doesn't matter what X was. And the son, the disc jockey, the sidekick actually, was so surprised because the way he said his father is a very reserved man, isn't big on emotion, hadn't shared a lot of things. It was a weekday, so he didn't think his dad had been drinking. And at the end of the day, it was the comment. There were some different comments, so they kind of laughed and said, well, it's all good. Your father was thinking of you. He turned something innocuous that wasn't about you. He thought to himself, how could he apply it to my son? And is there anything that he could learn, could his son learn? So it was all good. And here's the point of the story. The point of the story was, oftentimes, those of us who are in the middle of our lives, time span wise, we're so busy doing, raising children, reaping, harvesting, that there's very little time for a lot of reflection and thought these days. And so you only hear things like that for maybe folks who have been retired, or they're not working as much, or maybe they're very young. So anyway, the whole point of that whole story is to just take time, no matter where we are in our life's journey, how old or young we are. Okay, so that's a very basic label. Again, I've put the name of my quilt. I'm starting to name my quilts. And I put my name, date, and address. So then I thought, well, it's daffodil and crocus. And I knew I had some daffodil fabric. And so I went into my stash, and of course, do you think I could find it? I couldn't find the daffodils fabric. But I found the prettiest things here that I just wanted to show everyone. Like this pansies. Isn't that so pretty? And that was also sort of what was in the quilt. It's a little bit more purple. Something else a little bit more purple were these dianthus or carnations. So I was thinking I wanted to fussy cut, and I was trying to find daffodils to fussy cut, and I couldn't find them, or crocus. Couldn't find any of that fabric in my stash. I don't have a very big stash, by the way. So I found this, and this is what I think I'm going to maybe fussy cut a daffodil or two. And of course the daffodils down here cut off, but I think that's okay. This does not have to be anything more than a splash of color. This quilt is staying with me, so it's not like it's a gift that I have to be extra careful on the label. Don't fall over, iron. So I'm thinking something like that. And then I think I'll hand sew this part on. Well, maybe I'll okay. I'm just going to sew one side of it down, and then we'll move on to the second label, and we're cranking. So who's out there? What are you working on? Sandra, are you working on your purple? I loved it. Last week, you know, I see your notes, sometimes not while we're on FiberCast, but afterward. And Sandra sent a picture of a purple Afghan that she was making. Remember last week was all about purple? And I just howled. I thought that was great. So many of you have been writing in and showing me comfort quilts, and it's just amazing. Okay, so there's number one, and that will go there. The second quilt that you may or may not remember is this one, and it was called Does Gray Make It a Modern Quilt? Remember we had that discussion. It was late spring when I made that. I made it up at the retreat. And in fact, I'm going to do this. And it's all pinned. And I'm going to machine quilt it just right here with my Bernina, but I haven't gotten to it. So I made a label that says, I'm going to call it Does Gray Make It a Modern Quilt? That's the title. Pieced by Lynn, quilted by Lynn. I'm going to leave the date blank, and then I've got the location. And for this one, I thought I would just use a plain gray. Again, kind of to go with the theme, does gray make it a modern quilt? In the end, it probably isn't really that modern. And there was some good discussion about it. So again, I'm just going to iron it down. I'm liking how this is fusing, by the way. Who's out there? Hey, Karen. Ah, yes. Karen says, maybe it's even more important to label the ones we keep. Good point. And Karen also goes on to say, I'm opening up. She says, I'm working on Carol Doak's new snowflake pattern, blue and white. Oh, that sounds awesome. That's paper pieced, right? Carol Doak is the queen of paper piecing. I cannot wait to see what you do with that after seeing your rainbow quilt from last year. Oh, send us pictures when you get to a point where you can share. Sarah, hi. She says, love seeing all your quilts and think it's wonderful you are labeling them. Thank you. You've probably taught me that. And speaking of Sarah, can I share a few things Sarah's been working on today? It's a pin cushion that is like an orange. Has everyone seen that? And I'm trying to remember the maker of it. Olivia, there's an apple and an orange, and it's a wonderful pattern. Hang on. Oh, it's a sewing kit. On the cover, it says, "Life is hard, sewing is easy." I'm going to show you this again. And it's got a zipper. That's a great one. I love that pattern. Well, hi, Sarah. I'm so glad you're sewing and getting things done today. You've been so productive. Okay, we can put all of the flowers away. We're not going to use that again. Now we've got this very sort of blah gray, but I'm okay with that. And same thing, I'm going to fold under 1/4 of an inch. Now, if I were really good, I'd use some fancy stitch on my Bernina. But you know, it doesn't really go with this quilt. There aren't many curves on this quilt. This is, I don't think it needs fancy. In fact, it uses some of that architectural fabric that I love that was popular like a year ago. When we go up to quilted threads, I always gravitate toward that. Speaking of which, our retreat is coming up very shortly. Up in New Hampshire, can't wait. Actually, it's a few months away. Our mystery quilt, our Simply Colorful mystery quilt, will be all done by the time we're up at the retreat, but it's still fun to look forward to. I'm also going to make a label in a minute for my Grand Illusions quilt that is almost to Dockside Quilting, to Chris's. That way I'll have it for when it comes back, but there's no rush in getting that done. I love how Berninas have the up and down feed of your needle. Okay, so let me trim this up. I like this one. It's very austere, if that's the right word. And it's very, yes, it reminds me of Downton Abbey, actually. Who is watching? I am so enjoying it. And I told you that I'm watching the Downton Abbey mystery quilt. So there's a second label. And I'm leaving the date free for when I finish that. Okay, the third one that I thought we'd do actually is up on the wall, the pinwheel one. Remember we did that one a year ago? That one, I'm going to take a little different tact. You may remember the dump teak shirts that we found this summer, and they've been washed and they were all deboned. And I pulled this out and I thought, let's get a little creative and use this as a label. It's even got the lines so we can write straight. So, and actually, I did already print this out for this one. So I think I've got a couple of these. So I think what I'll do is for the Valentine one, I'm literally going to iron this on top and then put I'm going to use some of my bonus triangles from Grand Illusion. Because a lot of the pinks are literally in that pink quilt anyway. So maybe what I'll do, yeah, I think I will outline, well, maybe we do it in black. Oh, you can't see this, I'm sorry. No, I don't like either of those. It's not needed, really. I think I'm just going to leave that and iron it on and iron it under. If anything, this just needs a little heart maybe appliqued on it. In fact, that's what I'll do. I have a piece of batik here that'll be so pretty. I could probably even do a satin stitch right here with my machine. Saved by the bell. Okay, so there's a heart. And I think that's going to look really pretty on top. But first, let's... Oh, Maureen says, she watches Downton Abbey with tea in my grandmother's china cup and saucer. Oh, I love that. Oh, I really do. In fact, I just bought some tea. I'm going to try and teach myself to drink some of that green tea. Let's see. Oh, that's great. Any chance your grandmother's with you? Who else is out there? Oh, wow. Maureen, that's wonderful. I love that idea. Sheila, hi, Sheila. Sheila says, I'm watching tonight and so excited about the label information. Have made a few more Dear Jane blocks, but not much more. Ready to get busy. Sheila in Tennessee. Well, good for you. Isn't winter's the perfect time to just hammer out some of those Dear Janes? In fact, I might get a few done next week. I'm thinking it's been too long. I'm missing it. Send pictures. I'd love to see that, Sheila. Ah, Sheila, she asked the question, do you put labels on your wall hangings and table runners or just quilts? Well, I've not been very good about putting labels on everything, but now I'm going to, and my answer is yes, label everything. You made it. It's your art. If not for, you're not labeling it for yourself. You're labeling it for someone down the road, generations from now, or next week. They find it. It just helps them understand where it came from. So yes, I would label everything. In fact, these dolls that I've been making, I am figuring out where to label them. Literally, I might write on their stomachs or somewhere, just because. Renee down in, I bet things are very warm down in Florida. How are you doing? She says, happy TGIF. No kidding. Not working on anything. Her machine broke. Oh, no. Bringing it in on Monday. Oh, Renee. Well, good luck with that. Bummer, and I'm glad you're watching. Oh, Becca has sent before I get to Becca's label, I'm so glad. That's what I wanted. I wanted to ask people to send in their labels. Maureen says, no, her grandmother's no longer with us, but when I sip from that cup, she is with me. Ah, that's wonderful. Sorry, I'm flipping through my different channels here. Okay, so Rebecca Rausch says, here's my label for the Bonnie Hunter Grand Illusion Mystery Quilt. I embroidered it directly on my backing fabric. What a good idea. It's opening up right now. What a good idea. So I can see, oh, and it's so well and clear. So it says Grand Illusion, and she's showing part of it, pieced and quilted by Rebecca, made January, and I'm just seeing part of it. Thank you for sending that. That's a great idea. Joyce, hi, long time. Thanks for FiberCast tonight. She says, I always enjoy joining you. I missed the first part because I couldn't connect. Oh no, I have a question. How did you make the labels? Thanks, Joyce from Maryland. Well, they're very simple labels. And the first ones I was showing were literally June Taylor fusible paper. And I literally ran the paper through my inkjet printer. These are just some templates that I just wrote in what I wanted to label, and then I'll finish them when the quilt's done. So that's literally what I started with. But I also have Pigma pens that I'm going to use now. You can use anything. So what I've been doing, Joyce, is literally ironing this onto other fabric like that. It's that easy. Now, for my Valentine quilt up there, I was just playing with using literally a piece of lined fabric from a shirt and literally going to get a pen. And actually, that's right. I had already printed one for the Valentine, so I've got that. And I've got a heart that might be too big, actually, because I haven't even, oh, I know what I'll do. No, it won't be too big, because what I'll do is I'll put a border on this one to make it a little bigger so that the heart fits. So Joyce, I'm so glad you're on. I bet it's been as cold down in Maryland as it has here. You'll see that I posted the yardage requirements and the AccuQuilt templates on the site, the Simply Colorful site. So go to simplycolorful.com, and everything's there for our next mystery quilt, which starts January 30th. I inadvertently said it started on the 39th of January in a post earlier this week. What a hoot. Okay, so I'm just making this bigger. Doesn't really match the pink, but this lighter pink I've also used in the quilt behind me. And you'll see I didn't even cut it. That's how unexacting this is. So now I've literally done two sides. And then, okay, we only have enough for one side, so I'm going to pull out another pink one. And I have enough for both sides. So let me just iron this down. Joyce, you missed it. Just before I came on tonight, I dropped my iron on the floor. So I've spent the first part of FiberCast getting the black off of the bottom of the iron. So many of you are down under. So I hope Allison and, of course, Peggy and everyone down there, Dottie, I hope you're enjoying summer. And I told myself I would write down the names of everyone who has been writing in. But I dare say it's more names than, well, no, I'll learn them. Okay, so there's that. And then this. What a good idea, Becca, to embroider right on your backing. You know, when you're rug hooking, because then no one can take the label off. It's there. In rug hooking, one way to ensure that the label never falls off or gets mixed up, you actually write your name on the burlap or on the linen before you even hook the rug. That way, in years to come, if it withstands the test of time, or just by the luck of the draw, if it's still around a long time from now, they can look and see who did it. I loved earlier this week. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. I've had such a good week. I went to my doll meeting and then I went to the quilt meeting. And I'll start backwards. The quilt meeting, we had a woman who's in our quilt guild, Becky McDonald, who, come to find out, has not been quilting all that long, but I never would have known it. We never would have known it from the look of her quilts. She came and showed us many quilts that she had made with Kaif facet fabric, and they were beautiful. So now the question is, do we need the heart? I don't think so. It's a label. So that was wonderful. She probably had made, well, first off, she went to the American Quilt Museum in Bath, England this fall. And Kaif Facet had a exhibit on color. And Kaif is one of those folks who he just explores color, the brighter the better, in all different forms of fiber. So he has needlepoint. He's knitted a lot. He's self-taught. He has designed many quilts. He has, I think she said 15 books. He's been doing it for how long? I'm sure you guys know more. 25, 30 years. And he paints, and he even, what he does is he looks around his environment and finds something that has a repeat and has color, and then he paints a motif, and then he uses that as the basis for all sorts of sort of cross-designing, whether it's a needlepoint rug or a sweater design or a quilt. And Becky was so good. She had all of her research done. She shared the fabric names with us and showed us all that she had done. Anyway, did I say, I think she made 4 new large quilts since this summer, and they were beautiful. And we had a full house. I'm so excited. If Cindy is out there, congratulations in putting together a program that has really been fun. On a shoestring budget, I might add. So good job. And so that was Tuesday, going backwards in my mind. Last Saturday, I had a treat to be able to go to the doll club. You know, you may have heard me talk about it. It's called Textile Tarts. And this is quite an honor to be invited to this, to be part of this. And I'm in my 2nd year, and we meet once a month during the wintertime, not in the summer really, at the library a few towns over. And we saw one of the members brought in her doll collection, American dolls from the 1800s. including an Isana Walker doll. And Isana Walker was a doll maker here in New England in the mid-1800s. And she actually patented a new way to make her dolls that were more resilient, and they actually were made with a press with lots of fibers and paste and glue and a multi-step process. And it was, she sounds like she was ahead of her time. And what was she? She was born in Bristol, Rhode Island. She grew up in Somerset. She was orphaned. And just a fascinating story. And her dolls, they're very simple. They've become quite valuable. And so that was fun. Anyway, let's see. So there is a label for the Valentine quilt. You know, I should be careful though. The bigger I make these labels, the more hand sewing I have to do. So 3 down. Let's see who's out there. I think I just saw Patty. Hi, Patty B. Ah, it is. She says, hi, Lynn. Are those your bonus half square triangles in the bag? Yes, they are. And I'm trying to figure out what to do with them. I think maybe I'm going to sew some together right now to make a Grand Illusion label. In fact, I'm thinking, oh, it might get too busy. So I was originally thinking I'd put them around this, but maybe, who knows, maybe we'll do something around that. Well, hi, Patty. I still feel badly we didn't get together over Christmas. Oh, and she says, sorry I'm late. I've got my tardy slip. Patty in Texas. You're so funny. No tardy slip needed. Let's see. Oh, just found FiberCast. Rue says, oh, I'm sorry. I hope you're not frustrated. Watching and working on zippered pouches for friends. Great to see you. Oh, that's good. Nice to see you too. And I'm sorry that you're just finding me and FiberCast finding us. We start at 8 every Friday night, Eastern Standard. And I try to post it to our Facebook page, to our Google page, to the YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is probably the best thing to do is subscribe to that, and you'll receive an email when we get going. Renee says she's waving back. It's cool down here. Very comfortable. Nice. No AC needed, it looks like. She's in Miami. Oh. So, Patty, I'm curious, do you have half square triangles? Let's do that one next. 1, 2, 3. Now, let's see. Are we doing? Yeah, the house is one I had an idea for that we'll do later. Okay. If this is my Grand Illusion, and I have this that maybe I'll put in the middle, and I'll write on it right now. So title is, you can't see this. There we go. I'm making a mess again. Title is Bonnie Hunters. Oh, this is working well. This is a Micron Archival Ink 05. Micro pigment ink for waterproof and fade-proof fine lines. It's working well. Bonnie Hunters. Grand Illusion. Mystery quilt. Oh, I write so infrequently now. Pieced by Lynn Marquidot. Quilted by Chris Myers. Dockside Quilting. And I'm going to leave the date blank. And I'm going to put in Hopkinton, Mass. USA. It's where the Boston Marathon starts. 26 point some odd miles from the finish line. Tell you, here in Boston, we have a couple of big trials going on, one of which is for, oh, I wonder if I can iron over this pen. Well, we'll see. Yep, it's working fine. One is for the Boston Bomber. Last I heard, there were over 1,000 people that they were trying to put on the jury. Okay, so now that I've got that, what I think I want to do is see about putting some half square triangles. How fun is this? So if I do 3 and 3 for the top and bottom, that will work. See, now I never would have just spent, in an hour, we're going to get 4 labels done. I never would have spent the time to do this. So thank you. Okay. Ooh. So I'm going to put one more on each of these 2. So I'll have 2 sets of 3. Oh, so an update on the Fitbit for everyone who's doing that. It's a great tool. I highly recommend these Fitbits. Ooh, good. That's going to work. So there's 1, 2, 3. So last Saturday when I went to my doll meeting, I did do what I was jokingly said I would do, and I gave my husband Bob the Fitbit to put in his pocket. And because I knew I wouldn't be moving, and I was curious. He literally had 3 cords of wood delivered here in our front yard. And he just never stops. Over the course of, it was a few days, so he didn't do it all on Saturday. But over the course of 3 days, he stacked 2 cords in one place, another cord in another place. And he literally, this is how kind my husband is. He said, we probably don't need all of it for this winter, but in case there's someone in need, we have some. And there was no cordwood around here. They came out from Brimfield, which is Western Massachusetts, to deliver it. And they delivered another cord to our neighbor. So that was good. And anyway, back to Fitbit. So at least for Saturday, he wore it for several hours. I estimate, well, drum roll, I thought he would do like 20 steps. He did about 7,600 steps, which is about 3 miles. And that's 3 miles just literally going back and forth. Yeah, that's right. It's amazing because when we do the loop, it's about 7,600 here, which is 3 miles. Okay, so this is cool. So I'm going to put this at the top and the bottom, and then we'll see what we've got. This is like improvisational quilting. Oh, and I ran out of bobbin thread. Okay, but that's easy enough to fix. Easy enough. wonder if I have another thread in here, an Aurifil. I don't think I have any Aurifil. Oh yeah, I have a little. Okay. So that was an interesting experiment, but now I have the Fitbit back on me, and I've been doing about 10,000 steps a day. And it's nothing more than that 3 miles and then sort of what I do day to day. I'm trying to park my car further away when I go to a parking lot, and not just so it doesn't get dinged. I know what you were thinking, Judy. Mumsy. When my mother came up to visit in over Thanksgiving, I have a relatively new car, a couple of years old, and I still park it far away so that no one comes too close and dings it with their door. So my mother thought that was kind of funny. That I was making her walk all that way. Who's out there? Oh, great job walking. Thank you. From my sister. Thank you. You've inspired me. And this is why Karen is so funny when she's sitting right next to me. So here's what she just said. She said, next time you do the loop, you should try carrying an armload of wood. Tying it all together. You crack me up. Oh, and Maureen says, welcome to the addiction. She loves her Fitbit. I know. It's a good thing, though. Oh, so glad everyone is out there. So Sarah says she loves Downton Abbey. She's been sewing today and listening to the Red Tent again. Need a new book on tape. Anyone have a good book suggestion? Ooh, good question. So she's read the Red Tent. I bet Chris Myers has a book suggestion or 5. Any of you readers out there? Anything good? I'm reading The Husband's Secret. I'm not too far into it. The librarian suggested it, and it's basically about a woman who finds a note that her husband wrote in the event that he was no longer with her, but she reads it before he dies. Happy. Send some book ideas or some Fitbit ideas. I swear, I feel like I'm taking my Fitbit for a walk every day. Oh, Allison is in Australia. Hello, Allison. She says, yes, very hot here at the moment. I'm enjoying your labels this morning. No sewing with grandbabies here, but soon. Enjoy your week. Thank you. You too. Hi to those grandbabies. They are beautiful. She is beautiful. Your newest one. Jennifer Dale, and then I will get to my Grand Illusion one. She says, really enjoying your labels this morning. I have had my brother and my sister-in-law, Bridget, from the East Coast visiting for almost a month, and they left yesterday. Oh, Bridget and I had been sewing a lot while she was here and watched all your archived episodes. I really enjoy watching them when I'm alone in my sewing room. They keep me company, so thank you. Well, you're welcome. Thank you. They are. I look for them, too. It helps us get things done. Could I please get your wonky houses block patterns? I love that quilt you made. Absolutely. In fact, I sent it to someone else last week. I'll send it to you. I still owe Deb C. the camper blocks, and ultimately I'll put them both on the Simply Colorful website, but I will send them to you. So Jen in Perth says, to conclude here, it's going to be 38 degrees centigrade or 100.4 Fahrenheit here in Perth today, but she loves the hot weather. Well, great. Well, enjoy. Thanks for your note. So glad that you quilted with Bridget, and now you can quilt without, and keep on watching for you Saturday morning. And I'll send you that pattern. Okay, so let's finish up our Grand Illusion quilt block, and then we will have met our target of 4 labels. And I hope everyone makes the most of their weekend. So I'm putting it on either side. Whether it's doing something that you've been looking forward to doing, or doing nothing for a while, or reading a good new book, watching a movie, maybe watching an Oscar movie. Going to the beach, watching some birds. I've seen lots of hawks lately. Watching some football. Okay. Oh, and you know what I think? So check this out. Isn't that fun? I think what I'm going to do is literally turn under 1/4 of an inch all the way around and just leave it at that for the back of my Grand Illusion. Well, I dare say we've pretty much accomplished what we set out to do. Remember, keep some of these muslin squares just beside you. If nothing else, just put one of these in the corner of your back of your quilt. Write down when you did it. Put as much information as you feel comfortable putting. So we made 4 labels tonight. Pretty simple. Send us or post pictures of your labels. And until next time, have a great week. We'll see you next Friday night on FiberCast at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Bye, everyone. Keep on sewing.